Well, what's your name? How old are you? Where'd you go to school? Uh-huh. Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah. Well, now that we know each other a little bit better, why don't you come over here? Dan completed the sentence. A smile appeared on the face of the man who had approached the fence and who told Dan, "You know, I'm looking for Rain Manzarek. Have you seen him?" "No, but that was my plan as well," Dan replied, and the man continued to sing. Once again, Dan wondered if he was seeing his own future in these washed-up creatures that inhabited this coast as he walked around the corner and entered the dispensary. He was greeted by a man at a little desk beside the entrance who handed him yet another form to fill out. All this bureaucracy for a herb that's supposed to free your mind, Dan thought, as he put his initials beside sentences like, "I understand that all donations and contributions made to the Nile by its members are to ensure the continued operation of the Nile as a cooperative corporation and to be used to reimburse for actual expenses and reasonable costs for the administration of the cooperative. Furthermore, all donations and contributions are for the continued operation of the Nile, and that any such donation in no way constitutes a commercial promotion or sale of any item." When he handed the paper back, he had to show his passport once more, which the man behind the desk took in order to type information from his visa into the PC before him. Finally, he handed the passport back to Dan and told him to pass through yet another door. Behind it lay a store full of glasses, filled with thick green buds. A woman opened one of them and held it out to Dan, telling him to smell. He handed her $10, and she filled some of it into a plastic baggie, which she threw into a brown paper bag that she handed to Dan with the words, "Enjoy your medicine." Dan thanked her and left for the beach, where he sat down behind a wall full of graffiti, beneath colorful palm trees that were covered with paint as well. Dan nervously filled his pipe, shielded it off from the wind, and inhaled. Then he got out his little black book. So, where is that organ player whom I can read my poems to? If I don't find him here, what am I supposed to do? Thank you. Thank you. And now I'll just improvise on a few poems that I wrote on this machine out in Mauer Park, where I sit with this little sign saying, "Give me 3 words and €3, and I give you a poem." I don't quite remember what the 3 words were I got for this one. I think it was something to do with German humor. And it goes like this. What is German humor? Does it exist at all? I know it does not stand tall in the ranking of countries. The German mentality we see in books and on TV is one of bitterness and serious philosophy. It's odd. After all, humor is tragedy plus time. And we had lots of horrors we now regret. Maybe we just have to wait a little bit longer. Thank you. This one's about Garbage Island. Have you heard of Garbage Island? A floating continent of plastic in the middle of the ocean that makes the fish sick when they stick to the sharp edges of its coasts. Do you know about the blood that is spilled for the sole goal of getting oil? I wonder, where's the soul of the man that can commit such heinous acts? And to what extent are we to blame for this devious game? Beside the sea, I met a girl who handed me a pearl and an intoxicating potion. And when I looked into the waters, I saw our reflection in the blue mirror of the ocean. Suddenly, I was filled with desire for her. I felt a burning fire deep inside my chest. But then the waves obscured the view, and when I looked up, she was gone, and there was nothing I could do. You might say I'm egotistic, maybe even narcissistic. But please don't be so critical. After all, we all are, aren't we? We can only see the world through our own two eyes. Through putting yourself in someone else's shoes. That's good advice, and it might bless you and everyone else with happiness. The moon, it floats out there in the endless void. And when you take a Polaroid of it, what you see is already a few minutes in the past. For light travels fast, but not fast enough. Even when you look at a rainbow, you should know it might have already passed. Nothing will last. And for this poem, someone gave me the names of superheroes. So it's about Clark Kent. Clark Kent is in love with Lois Lane. Maybe because his name is an alliteration too, like almost everyone who lives inside a comic book. And when the mood is right, they have food by candlelight. Although another violent crime might call Superman away on another mission to save the day. And Lois, she will have to stay at home, all alone, once again, waiting for her man. Now, for this one, somebody told me to write about Jesus Christ, our Savior. Jesus was a lousy carpenter, never made one table. Since he was able to walk on water and heal the sick, he did not stick around at his day job. Instead, he let his hair grow long and traveled the land like a hippie. And you could see the Son of God ride into your city on the back of a donkey to turn water into wine and party all night long. And I'll leave you with this last one, where I got the request for some very vulgar words. So it's not my fault what came out of it. The degenerate sodomite was in love with his goat, and every night he would gloat and visit it in its shed, or invite it to his bed. But their romance was frowned upon, and they did not have a chance to keep this up. The police set an end to it and forbid the man from sleeping with his darling. Every time he looked at it now, he felt a sting inside his heart. And one day, he could not take it anymore. And so he slaughtered his former lover that had become such a bore, and had her for dinner. Ladies and gentlemen, Mezcalito. My name is Dan K. Ziggers, and if you want your personal little poem, I have my typewriter here, so you can just visit me over there. And I think now it's time for open stage. After a quick change of setting, maybe.